This is lesson 20, section 2.5, linear equations of lines and also curve fitting. We're going to look at the point slope equation, the slope-intercept equation, and vertical and horizontal lines. Okay, the point slope equation starts off as y minus y1 equals to the slope times x minus x1. Now, if you were to look at the slope of 2 points equation, if you were to look at m equals to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, and then change the slope, put the slope on the other side of the equal sign, erase your x1 and y1, and then multiply, actually this is, you should erase the x2 and y2, leave your x1 and y1. And so you're going to multiply x minus x1 to both sides, and you get y minus y1 equals to your slope times x minus x1. So if you don't remember your point slope equation, then you can always derive it from the slope of 2 points equation. Just take your denominator, move it over to the right with the slope. Okay? But you need to know this equation here. Okay? For what we're going to be writing equations with that. Alright, so let's say we're writing an equation for the line given points -4, 1 and having a slope of 3. So basically there's 3 equations you want to remember. One is your slope of 2 points equation. And your slope y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Then you want the second one is your point slope equation, y minus y1 equals to your slope times x minus x1. The third one is this slope-intercept equation, y equals to mx plus b. Well, since we already have the slope, we don't need the first equation. So we can skip that and go straight to the second equation. Now here, it helps to write x1, y1. I'll write it underneath. x1, y1 for your point. And we're going to put it into your point slope equation. So this will be y minus y1 is 1 equals to your slope, which is a -3 times x minus x1, this should be x1, which is -4. So that'll make that x minus the -4 is going to be x plus 4. So we can just make that x plus 4 there. And now we just distribute the -3. And we get y minus 1 equals to -3x plus, or minus rather, 12. And now we want to put it in the slope-intercept form, so we have to solve for y here. And so we apply plus 1, and we get y equals to -3x minus 11. And that's our answer. You've written the equation given that point, -4, 1, and that slope, -3. Okay? Questions with that? Okay, write an equation of the line of given -3, 2 and 2, -4. Okay, so here's your x1, y1, and this would be x2, y2. First thing, what are we going to do? Dylan?
Find the slope.
Right, find your slope. Alright, so go ahead and do that. Write your equation down, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay, physically write those equations down, because you're going to need to know them for the test. Okay? And while you're doing that, I'll work this out here. So this will be 4 minus 2 over 2 minus the -3. And that'll be plus. So you should have got -6 over 5. Okay, questions with that? Step 2, you're going to put it in the point slope equation. Y minus y1 equals to the slope times x minus x1. Okay, now here, you're going to just use one of the points. So you can use either one. Okay, you can use either -3, 2 or 2, -4. It doesn't matter. If half you guys did use -3, 2, the other half used 2, -4. As long as you're using the same slope, everybody will get the same line, or they should get the same line. If they didn't, then something went wrong. Okay, so I like, because this says x1, y1 on it, I like to use x1, y1. So we're going to use the first one. Alright, so we're going to put in here y minus y1 is 2 equals to our slope is -6 over 5 times, and then x minus, I'm going to do this then, x, let's see that, x minus, and x1 is a -3. Okay? Alright, now at this point, so this is actually going to be a plus here, right? X plus 3. Now at this point, we've got this fraction to deal with. So what helps is to go ahead and multiply both sides times whatever this denominator here is. So we're going to multiply both sides times 5. Multiply 5, multiply times 5. But when you do that, you have to put parentheses around that left side. So the 5's cancel here. And so basically what we have here is 5 times y minus 2 equals to -6 times x plus 3. And then we can distribute from there. Okay? Then we get 5y minus 10 equals to -6x minus 18. Now step 3 is we got to put it into that y equals mx plus b form. Slope-intercept form. So basically we have to solve for y from here. So we apply plus 10, and we get 5y equals to -6x minus 8, and then divide by 5, divide by 5, divide by 5. And we get y equals to -6 over 5x minus 8 over 5. And that's our answer, is that equation. Now notice the slope is the same as what we started with. Alright, if the slope that you end up with is not the same as the slope that you started with, then something went wrong in the arithmetic or the algebra in your working through the problem. Okay? Alright, questions with that? Alright, and so now they left it in standard form. Now if they wanted it in standard form, let's see, write the result. Okay, they wanted it in standard form. So actually in this case, since they wanted it in standard form, then what you would do here is you would still apply plus 10 to both sides. And so you have 5y, actually that's right, you have 5y equals to negative 6x minus 8, and now you're going to move the x over to the other side, so you put plus 6x, and so that would be 6x plus 5y equals to a negative 8. So standard form is where you have ax plus by equal to c. Now that the x is, this may be negative or the y may be negative, but basically in standard form the x's and y's are on the same side of the equal sign. A lot of textbooks they want it in slope-intercept form, but this one wants it in a standard form, so we'll do that. Okay? Alright, questions there? Alright, so that's your answer, 6x plus 5y equals to negative 8. Slope-intercept form, that's where we isolate the y. Where the slope is your coefficient of x, your y-intercept is plus or minus the other number. So here we went from standard form, we're going from standard form to slope-intercept form. So here we would apply minus 4x to both sides and then divide by 5. And so we see that negative 4 over 5, the coefficient of x, is your slope. Okay, the y-intercept, it's the sign and that number. Okay, so the y-intercept would be both the negative and the 2. Okay? Questions with that? Alright, we want to write an equation of a line through 1, 1 and 2, 4 when the graph of the line using the slope-intercept form. Okay, so we're going to write the equation, then we're going to graph it using the slope-intercept form. Alright, so I'm going to rewrite this because it's a lot better than trying to squeeze it all in one tiny little spot. Okay, so we have 1, 1, and that's our x1, y1. And we also have 2, 4. And that's x2, y2. Now, it seems elementary to write x1, y1, x2, y2, but you'd be surprised how easy it is to mix those up. And so writing those down, x1, y1, and x2, y2, will help you to keep from making mental errors from mixing those up. Okay, step 1. What is that? Travis?
y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1.
Good. Slope equals 2y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Alright, good. So go ahead and find the slope. Alright, so that's, and again, when you have your x1, y1, and you have your equation there, it makes it real easy to just go through it and figure out which one, and helps to keep from getting those mixed up. Okay, so you've got here y2 is 4, minus y1 is 1, over x2 is 2, minus 1. So you don't want to leave this as 3 over 1, okay, because that just kind of adds a little bit more to a problem that doesn't need to be there. Okay, step 2, what's next? Dylan?
The point equation.
Yeah, point slope equation, y minus what?
1
y1 equals to, what comes next?
m
Okay, slope times
x
x
minus x1.
minus x1. Alright, good. Okay, now again, you could use either one. Now, 1, 1 is easy. Okay, so I would jump on that one. So we have a slope here of 3, and our point is 1, 1. So this is just like those problems where they just give you the slope and the point. So now we put in here y. Now go ahead and write the equation from there. Substitute those values in and write the equation in slope-intercept form. All right, go ahead and do that. Okay. You should have gotten your slope-intercept equation is y equals to 3x minus 2. Okay? Questions with that? Alright, now we want to use the slope-intercept form first to find, okay, you want to graph a line. Okay, so using slope-intercept form. Okay, so we're going to use the slope-intercept form to graph. Okay? Graph using slope-intercept method. Okay, step 1. Plot. First thing you want to do is actually before that, identify your slope. Identify your slope and your y-intercept. In other words, B. Okay, so here, your slope is what? Dylan?
3
3. And how about your y-intercept?
2
Negative 2. Okay, so we want to identify slope and y-intercept. Step 2, plot the y-intercept first. You always plot the y-intercept first. So this would be 0, negative 2. The y-intercept, x is always 0. So it's always intercepting, that y-axis at some point. And so that's why we call it the y-intercept, because it intercepts the y-axis. So you're always going to plot the y-intercept on the y-axis, never the x-axis. Alright, so from there, we're going to plot it at -2. Okay? And so step 3, we're going to plot the second point based on the slope. Based on the slope. Okay, plot the second point based on the slope. So basically, since slope is 3, what this means is because it's positive, we're going to rise 3 and we're going to run 1. Because it's positive, we're going to go up 1, 2, 3 and across 1. And then we're going to connect. Step 4, we're going to connect the points. We're going to draw our line through those points. Okay? And that's our slope-intercept method of graphing a line. Alright, questions with that? Alright, and so these are different points. Alright. Any questions with that? Alright, so to summarize this all up, you have your slope-intercept equation, y equals mx plus b. You have your point slope equation, okay, y minus y1 equals to the slope of x minus x1. You have your standard form of the equation, ax plus by equals to c. Where if you wanted to find the slope, basically what you're doing is you're solving for a from standard form. When you have an equation y equals to some number, your line is going to intercept the y-axis at that number. And your slope is 0. If you have x equals to some number, your line is going up and down, a vertical line, and so therefore your slope is undefined. Okay? Alright, questions with that? Alright, let's try one more. This time, I'm going to have you guys work through this all the way through from beginning to end. Let's say that we have 2 points. And let's say we're given given 2, 3, and -1, 2. Okay? Write the equation. In in standard form. And then you're going to graph it in slope-intercept form. Okay? So go ahead and try that. And as you're doing that, I'll work through the problem. Okay. So you should have gotten a slope of 1/3, and then we substitute. How many people use the second point, -1, 2? Anybody? No? Yes? Okay, you did. All right, good. So at least one person used at the other point. I used 2, 3. And so whether you use 2, 3 or -1, 2, doesn't matter. Okay, both points work. But slope's 1/3. That's the only thing that has to be the same. So I substituted 3 in for y. Now you've got to be careful here, because you see how 2 and 3 are first and second, but here y is first and x is second. You got to make sure that you don't put the y in the x value and the x in the y value. So the 3's got to go over here with y minus 3. and the x has got to go over there with x minus 2. Now if you use the other point, then you're going to put in there y minus 2 equals to 1/3 times x plus minus a negative 1. Okay? Alright, and then I multiplied through the denominator out to both sides, makes it a little bit easier, and then distributed the 3, but only thing is when you do that, you got to make sure that you put the parentheses there because you got to distribute that 3 into both terms. So that makes it 3y minus 9. And then I went ahead and put it in standard form, so I had to get that combined like terms. The constant's got to be on the right side, and the x and the y has to be on the left. So now if we want to plot it, now at this point, you would get a fraction if you plot it in slope-intercept form. So in this case, it would actually be, well, either way you're going to get a you're going to get a fraction either way. So in this case, you would go ahead and apply plus x, and you can get 3y equals to x plus 7, and then divide by 3, divide by 3, divide by 3. We go y equals to 1/3 x plus 7 over 3. Alright, and so your slope would be 1/3, and your y-intercept would be 7 over 3. Okay, and so you plot 6 over 2 is 6 over 3. So this 7/3, that'd be 2 and 1/3. And then you're going to go up 1 and across 1, 2, 3. Now don't worry about having to plot with fractions. You won't have to do that, but that's what you would do to plot in slope-intercept form. Okay? Questions with that? All right, we've got some time here. We'll go ahead and work on homework.